I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I put the mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns out with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's you lost, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed and
Good morning, YouTube. It has been a pretty long time since I've uploaded a new video and actually made a new video. It's been about roughly 8 weeks. About 2 months ago, roughly, I actually got the shingles virus. So if you know what the shingles virus is, you know that it is not any fun. I'll tell you that right now. So I was out for a very long time, and I'm still not 100%. It takes a long time for the virus to actually go away, and I've been taking medicine and trying to get over that. So I was pretty much a vegetable for a very long time. I ended up getting it on the left side of my neck right here. You might be able to see a little bit in some of the light when I get further into the video. On the side of my neck I might have some discoloration of color, and around my ear area on the same side, and it went all the way around to the back of my neck and the back of my head. I had more than one strand of it, so if you ever had it, you might have had it on your, on your leg or your stomach or the side or your back, and it's not any fun. It's probably the worst pain that I've ever been in, because it just pretty much immobilizes you. There was probably a good week where I could not even move my head, because what it does is it attacks your nervous system. So whatever area you get it in, it attacks those nerves. So like for me, instance, on my neck, I couldn't move my neck at all. And with it having around my ears and on the side of my face and my back of my neck and my head, I had constant headaches. It was worse than a migraine, I would say. I had tooth pain because it was on the same side of the back of my jawline, and around my neck. Like I said, I couldn't even lift my head up some days. I couldn't even look at my phone because of the brightness. I couldn't even watch TV for a few days because of the brightness of the TV. So like I said, I was pretty much a vegetable for a very long time. It is slowly starting to go away, so apologize for that, but I have been down. And it's one of those things where I didn't want to make a video. I've been back at work for a little bit, for actually probably for a few weeks now. So even though I still didn't make videos, it's not something that's really pretty to look at, so I wasn't really wanting to do anything. And I've been slowly getting my energy back to do things around like the house and being able to go back to work and things like that. So I just haven't been wanting to pick up the camera and make a new video or anything like that, or actually do anything extra at the shop. I actually haven't had anything to do, so it kind of had a good time for it to happen, because I wasn't really busy. So yeah, slowly getting around to it, but we're gonna make a different video today. I'm gonna actually bring you guys where I work, and we're gonna show you exactly what I do day in, day out. So it will be pretty interesting, aside from everything else you guys have seen. If you're new here, I do pretty much cover everything, but that's got to deal with paint on the automotive side. So a lot of the videos I've uploaded, pretty much all the videos I've uploaded, have been on the custom side, where it be airbrushing, custom painting, graphics, pinstriping, things of that nature. So this video is going to be dealing with more of the collision side, because that's what I do for a living. Not only do I have a shop at my house where I do custom painting, but I go to work every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, and I do collision painting. So I want to go in kind of in depth with what that entitles and show you guys from a day-to-day perspective what that entitles. So today is going to be a little bit more of an easier day, so I figured today would probably be the best day, since I'm not going to be rushing around as much trying to get everything done in one day. It's going to be a little bit more smooth, so I'm able to show you guys and, you know, kind of teach you a little bit more about this side of the automotive painting world, because it is totally different from what you guys see on the custom side. The custom side is a little bit more in depth. It's a lot more work. Collision side is a little bit more of a hustle, getting things done in a timely manner and getting things out for the insurance companies, because everything we do here is for the insurance companies, so they dictate how things are done, how fast cars are going to be moving out, and what is going to get repaired on each vehicle. So I want to show you guys all those processes throughout the day. So sit back, enjoy, and you know, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and we'll just keep pumping them out. If you guys really like this type of stuff, me bringing you to work and showing you the collision side, I'll do more of this, because this is really the first video. So we're gonna go inside and start getting to work, and I'll show you guys what we have planned today. So before I go over what today entitles as far as the work that we have, I want to first go over kind of the some of the things you might notice in the videos if you're familiar with painting or anything to do with the collision world, or maybe you're just interested in knowing about it. Some of the things you're going to notice today is that I do work in a smaller shop. Yes, we consider ourselves production still, even though it's smaller, but yet we still want to do things as best as possible. So you'll see cars being dismantled, you'll see cars in the booth that are completely torn apart. We don't do anything that is going to kind of hinder the paints and have a comeback in the end. We want things to leave and never return. So me, myself personally, as the painter, I do the painting and the prepping. I don't have a prepper, it's just me. So I do everything that involves the painting, from all the way from primering all the way to the finished product of buffing the car once the car is built. And I am I wouldn't say I'm very picky, but I am pretty picky on what gets done and how things look. There's a certain look that I want things to look like. Yes, we are still trying to replicate the OEM finish, but yeah, I want things to look a little bit better, to where it doesn't look like it's been painted before. So I am pretty picky on how things are done. So if you want to learn, I'm not going to really go over a lot about that stuff. You're just going to see it, and I can always do a video in the future, you know, kind of going over all the steps if you're interested in knowing that type of stuff. So that's just a couple of things you're going to know, and as well that, you know, you're not going to see me in the booth with t-shirt, shorts, painting a car. I wear a full paint suit as well as a fresh air system. I've been doing this for roughly 22 years now, and I was once one of those people that wouldn't listen to anybody when I first got in this field, and I just started painting. You know, I still had a type of respirator, but like I was just painting to paint. I wasn't really concerned about safety. Now that I'm older, I'm 37 now, and anything that my body touches as far as like chemicals or paint, I just react to it, and it just kind of, you know, some days it makes me lose my breath. Like if I get a fresh whiff of clear coat and I take my mask off in the booth for whatever reason, it knocks me out for a couple hours. So now that I'm older, I am really careful with my safety and what my body touches. I'll always be wearing gloves when I'm dealing with chemicals, because that's it, you guys. You're dealing with chemicals. When you're dealing with paint, you're dealing with chemicals. So you got to keep that in mind, to always protect yourself. I know a lot of these guys doing these videos, you'll see them in, like I said, t-shirt and the shorts, and they'll be in there with a respirator only and just spraying all over us. And you know, that's when you can tell they're kind of new, because they don't really care. And you know, give them another 10 to 15 years of doing that, and they're going to be telling you, like I'm telling you now, to be safe. So if you're starting out and you're wanting to get involved in this type of stuff, safety is the #1 thing. I know we all get in a rush, but safety is the #1 thing that you want to protect yourself against these harmful products. Clear coat and primer especially, those are the two worst. Clear coat will just knock you out, as well as primer. So you always want to protect yourself. Don't really take what those other guys doing deliberately, because they just don't know, they just don't care. Because I was there, I've done that, I've been there, I've done it. You know, it's just one of those things where you live and learn. But as a professional painter, I am warning you right now, that is the #1 thing, because you might not care in your young life, but once you get older and your body starts getting older and you start breaking down, you are definitely going to care. Trust me. It's not fun when you get older and you're doing stuff like this. So always protect yourself. I always try to tell people, you know, that's the #1 thing. You know, like I said, you see these people that don't care, and they're in there just spraying to be spraying, and they're wearing the wrong type of respirator. You always want to make sure you have the right stuff and the right equipment. And I think those only two things those three things that you're probably gonna see today. And being a smaller shop, like I said, we are more on the quality side as far as rushing. You know, we get things done really fast. I work really fast, but we also, being a smaller shop, we're able to slow down a little bit and actually get these things done and make them look a lot better than when they come in, obviously, because they're wrecked. But we just want those cars to leave and never come back, and customers be happy and have returning customers. And most shops, all they care about is that number. They want to just keep pushing cars out. So I would say our quality of work is a little bit better than most places. I have worked in big box corporate shops for my whole career almost. I've been in this smaller shop for 4.5 years, and I got out of those corporate shops for a reason. You know, you work in them for so long, you start noticing things, and they just don't care about you as an employee. All they care about is that bottom line, and that's just how it is. You know, that you can make a lot of money in those shops, because this type of field, I want to say a good 95% of shops are commission-only shops. You might find a smaller shop to where they're actually hourly or salary, but most of your big shops are going to be working on commission. So you have to hustle and be able to do multiple things at once to get things done. And that's just how it is, you know. Corporate level is not really fun, because like I said, you're just a number to them, and that's really all they care about is their bottom line, their dollar figure. And you're just you're a puppet in their little playfield that they have to control in order to get you to that number. So you're painting a lot of stuff, you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and it creates a lot of bad habits, and it also wears you down a lot faster. A lot of people get burnt out real quick from it. I've been there, I've done it for a very long time, and since got older, I've been doing it for a long time. I'm very good at what I do, and with also doing the custom stuff at home, I am more of a quality person than I am just getting it done and getting out of there. So I take the extra steps. Being a smaller shop, we're able to take those extra steps, make sure things are right, make sure things are better than what anybody else would put out, and make sure these cars go home on a good, everything's pretty much on a schedule. So you got to get those cars delivered on that date, and that's the biggest thing, is making sure these customers are happy. Make sure you do a good quality job, and make sure you're only doing it once, because if you don't, then obviously you're delaying that date. So you gotta be able to wear multiple hats. You gotta be able to do multiple things. You gotta multitask, especially as a painter. You're doing a bunch of different things at once. So those are just a few of the things I wanted to touch on before I start this video, actually, and just run through some of the projects we have today. Like I said, it's a slower day, so it's not going to be as hectic as what it normally is, but we do have a couple projects to go through, and I want to walk you guys through that right now. So this is victim number 1. I've already prepped it. I've already got everything clean. The one thing about this vehicle is we're missing a fender still. It's getting a brand new fender put on the car. So we're missing the fender, but we also have a vehicle, a transit vehicle out here that I've already prepped and taped off and cleaned, ready for paint. I was waiting on the doors because this one gets 2 doors. It gets 2 new door shells. So I was waiting on these parts before I could paint it. So bodywork, new door, bodywork. So we're painting the whole side of this thing pretty much. So I was waiting on those parts. So these parts, this fender was supposed to be here before the other parts. So I had this in here already ready to go. So my thinking is I'm going to finish up what I have to do on those, because we actually got the doors for that first, and they have one of the doors has a little tiny dent on it I need to fix. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that real quick, get it in primer, and also do this job right here. So like I said, it's getting a brand new door, or not a brand new door, but it's a used door. It's completely gutted, guys, so everything's getting painted. That's the only way we do things around here. We do it right. We make sure it's done correctly. It's gonna get a brand new fender, so obviously a brand new fender. It's got a little bit of body work on the A-pillar down here, and then we're gonna be blending the back door on this. So very simple job, not really complicated at all. So on this particular job, you might see having me stuff like this prepped. That is because we are burning this one in. So my thinking on burn-ins, it's where we take the clear and we melt the clear into the pillar, and then we'll wet sand and buff it after it's fully cured, and the line will be going away. I don't particularly like doing that, but dealing with insurance companies, they dictate what we do. And being that this is an older vehicle with a lot of miles on it, they are saying that we are not allowed to, pretty much they're not going to pay to fully clear coat those entire panels, because on this particular job, for me to do the entire A-pillar all the way back to the back of the hatch and the quarter, I had to remove a window, and that involves more time, it involves more money for the insurance companies, so they are not going to pay for that. So that's one thing that you got to kind of deal with when you're doing collision work, is a lot of the times you're going to have to do things that you don't necessarily like in order to get the vehicle done. I stress to these insurance, I mean pretty much my estimator, if we can get it done the correct way, I'd rather do that than burn something in. But in some cases, this is a very rare case of us doing this, because I hate doing it. I'd rather just do it for free, but since this one has a quarter window that has to get cut out, that is really super tight, weather strip around it, I can't just tape it off and scuff it and shoot it, the whole thing. So I have to burn it in on this one. But I would say I probably do 1 or 2 of these every like 6 months. It's just one of those things, it's an older vehicle, it's a lot of miles. It's just one of those things you got to deal with when dealing with insurance companies. Because the reason why I hate doing it is when you have this line, even though you wet sand and buff it and it looks good after you're done with it, over time that sun, if it sits outside for a long time in the summer heat, that line will slowly creep back to where you can see your burn-in. I don't care how good you are, I don't care how well you prep it, I see it all the time. You see these guys on these videos on like TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and all these social media platforms where they're doing bumpers that are on the car. They just mask everything up and they burn in half of it. It might look all right for a little bit, but once that sun starts heating that thing and baking it, it's going to come back. So that's why I hate doing that stuff. I call it hack work. But in this case, like I said, it's just how it is, because the insurance company, that's the only thing they're going to pay for. and obviously the shop's not going to spend their money and, you know, do it for free. So it's one of those things you got to deal with. But yeah, we're going to go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to fix the dent on that one door. It's a really small dent. I'm going to get it in primer real quick, and then I'm going to jump in here and we're going to start painting this thing. I'm going to walk you through the process of getting this thing painted. So we got the dent fixed, we got primer going, so now we're going to jump in the booth and get that vehicle ready to spray. By the time we're done with that vehicle, this will be dried up, and I'll keep putting them out, putting coats of primer on it. It'll take 3 coats, and then once this is fully done, this should be dry enough to sand and put that vehicle in the booth and do the next one. So after everything is primed, blocked, ready for paint, everything gets cleaned up twice, waxed and greased, taped up in the booth, ready for paint. Therefrom, every single vehicle gets a spray out card to get the color matched, as well as a new tack rag. It gets sealed, base coat color, whatever it needs, and then clear coated. So what I do is everything's been waxed and greased already. So before I spray sealer, I'm going to go around with my air gun and a tack rag and blow everything off and tack it at the same time. Got some sealer in the gun, just straight black sealer. This is a black vehicle, so you always want to make sure your sealer matches your color the best it does. Every color has a value shade, so you want to make sure you use the right value shade. make sure you wrap all your edges. Make sure it's fully covered with one coat of sealer. So now what we do, we let this dry for about 10 minutes. Turn on the heat a little bit, get it to dry, get it to flash while we go in there and we mix our color. So we've got our collar mixed up enough to remember we got that fender coming in today. So I want to make sure we got enough. You don't want to remix and have the possibility of it not matching what we're painting right now. So just remember that. And then we got our wet bed. This is just a clear base coat. Anything that's got like a pearl or heavy metallic or anything like that, put this on there first. blend it out. Don't fully cover the panel where you're blending, and it'll make your color lay down really, really nice. So we got our clear base coat slash wet bed on the panel. You can see where I blended it. Blended it right there on that panel, and then up here on this A-pillar, you can tell where I blended it because it gets different color. Because there's only 2 areas that were blended on this car. Everything else is a used part or a new part. So I'm gonna run over this real quick with you guys. You do not, when you're putting your wet bed on or your clear base coat on, you do not want to do the entire panel. You want to blend it out. The reason for that being, if you end up doing the entire panel on wet bed and you don't put color there, which you never want to put color on a full panel that you're blending, because you're going to end up throwing the color off on the other side of that panel. So the reason why you don't want to put wet bed on there is because it's going to create what we call a pool effect. A pool effect makes that color transition, and it makes it look a little bit more vibrant. We call it the pool effect because if you ever look at a pool, you look at the deep end versus the shallow end. That deep end is a little bit darker, right? Because it's a deep end. That shallow end has a little bit more lighter blue color. It's going to do exactly the same thing on these panels as that pool is doing. It's going to look like that deep end. It's going to transition that color into a darker shade of that color. So you want to try to prevent from throwing your clear base coat all the way through the entire panel. A lot of guys I see, a lot of people on social media and what forth, especially YouTube, it's really bad on YouTube. They'll wet bed the entire panel, and you'll definitely see it when you clear it and they take it outside, and it looks a little bit different according to that panel right behind it. It's because they threw that wet bed out all the way, or they just threw the color all the way on. These colors, I'm gonna tell this one time, these colors from these manufacturers are not made to panel paint. Panel paint means painting the entire panel. They're not made, they're not perfect, guys. So you have to really, really blend your colors out. A lot of these colors, especially in today's world where everything's kind of vibrant, they're coming out with all these new tri-coats and candy colors on these vehicles. You really have to almost be a scientist, because you'll have to alter, you have to tone a lot of these colors, so you have to know what you're doing on the color side of things. This color is not really bad. It's a really simple color. It's got some black, it's got a little bit of white in it, and it's got a little bit of a white pearl in it, which gives it like a kind of like a goldish pearl. So it's really simple. It's gonna match perfectly. I've sprayed it before. There is no problems with this color, so I can just spray it normally. But a lot of colors, I would say a good 80 to 85% of colors today, you have to blend them out, you have to tone them, and you have to get it to where they are blendable, or else you're gonna see that nasty line. So you don't want that to happen. I see it all the time. People are just going in there and spraying it, and they're, a lot of guys are blending it, but they're not toning it, and you can see that line after they get done clearing it. And that's not what you want. You want it to look like a smooth transition to where you don't see where your line stops. It's just one full color, and that's what you want. You want to do your, take your time, make sure your color is right. That's what I'm going to do first here. Before I do any of these panels, I want to do a spray out on my spray out card. I'm going to check it to the adjacent panel, because we are not blending this hood. Insurance company's not paying to blend this hood, so I got to match this fender up to this hood. The door and everything is getting blended, so I'm not worried about the new door. But with this having a new fender against that hood, I want to make sure that color matches that hood as best as I can, to where you don't see that transition to different color. So I'm going to do my spray out first, and then we're going to put a couple coats on the panels. 2 coats of base coat on the panel. Got my spray out done. I ended up having to put 10% more of the jet black into this mixture to match that hood. And how I check that is I just take some wax and grease remover with a light, and I'll wax and grease it once it's fully dry, and it'll give it the illusion that it's clear coated. And I'll do the same on the panel that's already painted, match them up, figure out what I need to do to those to make it match. And it was just, like I said, 10% more of the jet black that was in that mixture for that color code. That's why you do your color matches, because every vehicle is different. Even if you're spraying the same color on the same vehicle, but a different vehicle, if that makes sense, they are going to be different. No 2 cars are the same, so always do your spray outs. So now everything is fully dried and is ready for clear coat. So I'm gonna walk you through the clear coat process that I do on these collision cars. So anything that has got base coat on it, any outside surface panel that has base coat on it, let's say, I will put 1 coat of like a tack coat on there. So it's not like a medium wet coat, it's just a 1 tack coat. It is pretty, I mean, I consider it a medium wet, but some people might not. On the outside edges that has the base coat on it only. And then I'll go through and I'll put 2 more coats over their entire panel, because the idea is you obviously want to have enough mil thicknesses on the painted panel that you painted, and then you want to have at least 2 coats on the end of the panel that you did not paint, and that's going to even everything out. So this is not custom work where I'm sitting there trying to bury stuff. This is collision. You only need 2 coats of clear on the entire panel. If you do any more than that, you might throw the color off. You're wasting material according to the shop you work at and the insurance companies. So you have to be able to get away with only putting 2 coats of clear on panels. So that is the way I do it. Like I said, it gives me enough mil thicknesses to where if I need to wet sand and buff the entire panel that I just painted, I am allowed to do so without taking too much material away. Because when you do that and you thin that clear out, the UV protection, the window gets really small. So you want to keep as much UV protection as possible. I personally hate wet sand and buffing, so I make sure I don't have to wet sand and buff much of anything. Now some colors do attract more dust, dirt, things like that. It's just the way the game is. But I always try my best to get everything as clean as possible, not come in here, stir up a lot of dust and dirt, and just get in here and get it done without buffing it, because buffing, in my eyes, you're taking away material for 1, and 2, it's just a waste of your time in a production shop. Me here, since I'm the only prepper and painter, and our detail area is not very well versed in wet sand and buffing, so I have to do that personally, so that takes the time away from me painting another vehicle. So I try to do the best I can to not wet sand and buff. Now obviously you're gonna get a little bit of dirt and specks sometimes. Sometimes you get lucky to where you get a panel where you don't have to buff it at all. I've had a lot of cars lately that really didn't have any dirt. Maybe I need to, you know, sand a little piece of a dirt out of it, but other than that, you know, which takes me about 5 minutes to do, if that. So that's the key, is to get these things processed as fast as possible to where everything's keep floating. So I'm gonna put the first coat of clear on these and come back, let that flash, and then we're gonna do the next 2 coats, and then we're gonna blend out where I got my bridge at. So on my burnt areas, I'm gonna call them here, where we're gonna burn in the clear, I've got a bridge made. Once I'm done clear coating, I'm gonna lift that bridge up and I'm gonna put just reducer in a gun, and I'm gonna hit those edges after I'm done, and that will allow it to burn in there, and then it'll bake and it'll kind of soften that edge in that clear and allow it to melt into that panel. And everything past this bridge is sanded in 3000, so it's gonna melt in really, really nice, and that's the trick to do those. So I'm gonna get the clear coating. that is pretty much it for this job. Now we can move on to this job, which I'm really far ahead on. As you can tell, I've already got the panels and everything masked off, cleaned up, ready to go in the booth. All I have to do is pretty much prep the new doors and sand that primer down, block it down flat, and then clean them, and they're ready to go in the booth. So by the time I do all that, obviously the booth won't be done, but I'm gonna stick the bake cycle on the booth, let them bake for about 45 minutes, and then yeah, we'll just swap cars around. I don't know if I'll show this one. This one's not really that big of a deal. It's a pretty easy job. It's just white. So I'll probably just throw this in the booth, get it done. That way I can get it done before lunch, and then move on to the next one. I think we got one more after this to round off the day. So I'm gonna stick this stuff on bake, get these two big doors prepped and cleaned off, ready to go in the booth, and we roll on to the next one. So I got this transit in here taped off, cleaned up, waxed and greased, ready for some sealer right before lunch. So I'm just gonna get to it. White is very difficult to paint match, so it's gonna take me some time to color match this thing, but we're just gonna get right into it and get to sealing it. So with white sealer, if you guys have ever sprayed white sealer before, pretty much every manufacturer's sealer is very, very transparent. So I do a couple things. So one thing I do when I'm mixing it up, when I get done mixing it, I will throw in a little bit of black sealer with it, kind of give it a little bit more strength. I don't know why white sealer is so thin, it's just always been that way, so I always just add a little bit of black to it to kind of strengthen it up, give it a little bit more of a binder. And then the second thing I do is when I spray it, I go a little bit slower than normal. That way I'm getting full coverage to the point where it's almost fully covered, but you're always going to see, especially on OEM parts that are black E-coat, it's a little bit harder to seal those up completely. Sometimes I do another coat, but in this case, everything covered pretty well, so we're gonna go and mix paint. So that wraps it up for today. Got the transit done and clear coated. That third job ended up not being done in time for paint, so that kind of fell through. So I just took my time the rest of the day and made sure the color on that transit, it took me a while to get that color blendable and matched correctly to everything else. So I just took my time on that and got everything pretty much worked out with it and cleared it and called it a day after that. Now I'm gonna go home and do some more of it, but just wanted to show you guys a little bit inside of the life of what I do every day. Come here, collision stuff all day long, then I'll go home. If I got something to do at home, I'll do that, or I'll work on my own stuff, and that's where I do all the custom stuff. So if you like this type of content, comment down below. Share this with a lot of people. I'm really trying to ramp up the subscribers for my channel. It's kind of been at a stagnant steady with only 1 or 2 or maybe 5 people a month subscribing. So I'd like to get my channel out there across to a lot more people, because I think there's a lot of so-called painters and people that are doing this for a hobby that are just not really doing it justice. They're giving out a lot of false truths and just not really teaching the correct ways of doing some of this stuff. So I'd like to actually get more of my stuff out there and do more of a teaching side of things and showing you guys, if you are interested in this, this is what it is, and this is, you know, how you expect things to go in this type of work, and also put a little bit of the teaching aspect with it as well. So that's what my plan is for this channel. That's what my plan was for this channel from all along. Kind of bounced between the custom world and the collision world, because I do both. So yeah, if you're new here, thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody else watching, and like I said, share this and subscribe if you're not, and I'll keep the content rolling. I don't know really what's next. It might be just something random. I'm doing some things inside my house as far as painting goes. We were redoing one of the rooms, and we're actually gonna transfer the game room to a different room. So I've been prepping and painting that room, and there's going to be some artwork that I'm going to be airbrushing on the walls of the interior of the house. So that might be something you guys be interested in. It's going to be all gaming themed. I might mix in a little bit of horror in there as well, because my wife and I love horror. So that is going to be kind of incorporated into that game room. So I plan on making a video with that. I know what I'm going to start off with, but after that I just kind of wing it. But yeah, we're in the process of doing that right now, and once we get everything moved up there, I'm going to start making videos on that. And then I've got a little bit of little stuff like a helmet and little things at the shop that I need to paint for customers. And once I get to that point of doing like graphics or artwork or something like that, if they want it, I'll be filming that as well. So like I said, thanks again. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.